Hello and welcome everyone again to another video. And today's video, yeah, you guessed it right, we have the top teams in the Open Ultra League. My name is Yasir Ali, I'm a Twitch streamer and I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Yasir Ali. Open Ultra League is like by far the most consistent league ever. Like the meta is literally hardly to change, and we can still see some Pokemons that's literally from season 1, such as Giratina, Registeel. They are still very dominant Pokemons, but something new came up to the meta, which is Cobalion. Like this Pokemon was like completely useless, and they gave it a buff, like they gave it double kick, and it just became literally like the best Pokemon in the entire meta. Cobalion is too good, Giratina is too good, Scrafty is falling after like Cobalion coming to the meta, because Cobalion beat the same stuff and other stuff as well, such as the flyers, because it takes a neutral damage from flying types such as Pidgeot, and you can hit them with super effective back, like Talonflame destroys Crafty, but Talonflame have to shield everything from Cobalion to win that game. And Cobalion can beat Registeel, so it's the new Pokemon that's gonna change the meta by making it more like leaning into steals and what counters the steals. It's not the only Pokemon that get introduced to the meta. Like Ultra League is known for like lots of good options, but also people use like heavy XL Pokemons or like very tanky Pokemons. Like they don't have to be XL, but they can be like very tanky, like Cresselia. It's not XL, but it literally has like 700 stat products more than the other XLs. The main Pokemons in like good leads, Pidgeot is like being used more in the meta. Why? Because it's like it makes a good core with Cobalion, as like Pidgeot being like the anti-ground, anti-fighters, and Cobalion beats everything else, so Pidgeot is there just to make a good core with Cobalion. Scrafty is just like a very, like the best fighter basically in this cup. What about Cobalion? Scrafty used to be the ultimate fighter, like the ultimate steel / ghost answer, the Pokemon that beats everything in the neutral matchups. But now, like again, it's moving toward like Cobalion's being that Pokemon. Obstagoon, you know, like just to spam Night Slash, get the boost to win the game. Machamp, and like the problem with Machamp is that it's falling behind because Cobalion just does everything much better. A9 is losing its spot in the meta due to like, because like it doesn't beat Cobalion, which is a fighter. That's the thing. Cobalion is a fighter that can beat the Charmander because it's taking neutral, and it's a very bulky Pokemon and very spammy as well. Safe swaps in the meta are like, I think my favorite safe swap is to be honest, Cofagrigus. And I've seen lots of people swapping Walrein. Why Walrein? People are using it like as an ABB format to beat out the fighters. So the steal in the back, or the steal in the back is to sweep the game. After you bait out the fighter with this, then you fly like just farm down the fighter. Mandibuzz is just a very XL Pokemon. Drapion used to be the best Pokemon in the Ultra League meta, but now there is Cobalion that completely walls it. Like you can't safe swap Drapion anymore. There's Cobalion. It's literally gonna farm lots of energy on you. Jellicent is like being used now more because it's a good answer to Giratina. It doesn't get hardly walled by flyers or Pidgeot because you can run Bubble Beam, Ice Beam. It beats Cobalion, it beats G-Fisk, it beats Swampert. So it's a good option to have. Because the problem with Cofagrigus is that if they have Pidgeot, like you're in a very bad spot. Umbreon, it's just an XL Pokemon. Snorlax is a good Pokemon. I'm actually a fan like of XLs, but last season I tried Snorlax and I was very impressed. Because with the Snorlax, you either grab a shield advantage in the swap, or you bait out what beats the steal. It's a neutral Pokemon, so you don't need XLs all the time. Sometimes you can just have a Shadow Snorlax and Cobalion. Cobalion is an non-XL Pokemon, by the way. It's level 24 and it's literally much better than all the XLs. Generalists, which are good everywhere: Giratina, Swampert, Registeel, Stunfisk, Cresselia, and Cobalion. What's the best Pokemon here? It's Cobalion. I know I've said Cobalion a million times because this Pokemon is just too freaking busted. Like, it beats Nidoqueen now. So I would say Cobalion and Registeel are like the most dominant two, and Swampert is solid just because it beats both. That's why Swampert is good. Cress is falling behind in the meta, while Tina is being used more because Tina can beat the steel. Stunfisk is like a Pokemon that's a new, can beat the steel, can beat the ghost, can beat Cresselia, and always good to have it. Like, it's a very reliable Pokemon. Now, after, like, another Pokemon I wanted to mention is Tapu Fini, which is a Pokemon I like to use, but I don't like the Pokemon because there is like some weird fetish going around this Pokemon, which I have no idea who started that. Like, the Pokemon is good for the typing, for the fast move pressure, for the coverage as well. Gliscor, after the wing attack buff, it's slightly, I mean, it's much better in the meta because it does well versus the ghosts now. Like, the matchup versus the ghost was so scuffed because Night Slash is a bad move, but wing attack now does damage. So you generate more energy, so you can spam those earthquakes faster. Virizion is just like, you know, another Cobalion. Virizion and Cobalion both have the same stat product, the same bulk, the same attack, the same defense. Cobalion has the advantage of having a steel type, but Virizion has the advantage to beat the ground Pokemon because it's literally the hardest answer to the ground, because you're the ground, you're grass fighters, you have double kick. Sorry, what's this? You have double kick, and you have leaf blade, and you have close combat, and you have stone edge. You can literally choose the coverage you want. So those are like the mainly used Pokemons, I believe. Now moving into the anti-meta. Nidoqueen used to be like hard meta, now it's anti-meta because it's not as good as it used to be. Venusaur is like an off-meta pick. Yes, it's situationally good, not all the time. So I wouldn't use... Like, I wouldn't think Venusaur is even good. Like, it's just an off-meta pick. It can work, like, in some days when people just play double ground. Double is my favorite anti-meta pick. It's not the greatest, but it's my favorite. Maybe because I don't have one. Maybe I don't have one built yet. I think I'm like 100 XL short, but I'm still hoping that Niantic will one day give us this Pokemon to spawn. Like, Woolo. Like, people said it spawned like during the special raids, like the Hoopa, and I went to get one like during the Hoopa raids, and turns out like there was no spawns because the fighting fighting Pokemons were all over the place. Escab is good because it beats all the steel. It's a squishy Pokemon though, so I prefer DD more, to be honest, because DD just much bulkier, and I spent money on raiding DD. I can just catch Escab in the wild, right? Blast. This Pokemon, like, the problem with Como is that Dragonite is better. Yes, Como is bulkier, but Dragonite does everything better, and it has superpower, which is a cheaper move that does the job. Okay, because close combat doesn't one-shot the steel, so you need two. But two superpowers are cheaper and they can KO. Now moving into the top meta teams, okay, let's talk about the meta. If you go to PvPoke, build your team, PvPoke is gonna suggest Pidgeot double steel. Why? I mean, Pelipper double steel is the suggested Pokemon for Great League. Why? Because two steels like are the best defensive type, like steel, and you just need an answer. What beats the steel? Fighters and ground. What beats fighters and ground? Fighter. Yeah, flyer. So Pidgeot is a flyer that can beat both. What move to run with Pidgeot? I still think Gust is the superior move, even though wing attack gets buffed, but the main damage from Pidgeot comes from the fast move, because the other move is horrible. Feather Dance is a horrible charge move. Yes, it debuffs the opponent, but it does no damage if they decide to no shield. So I still think that Gust is the superior energy, is the superior fast move. So this is like the main team that's supposed to be the best team, but these teams do not work as you'd expect, because people will not be like leading fighters and have two stuff in the back that are weak to steel. Some people will be leading steel and have two fighters in the back, as an example, or like lead a steel and two ghosts in the back, and then this team has nowhere to go. But ideally, on paper, this is supposed to be the best team. The best team from last season, it was literally Cresselia with Swampert or Walrein with the Talonflame in the back. Where does this team set now? It's still good. It doesn't beat Pidgeot with like the Pidgeot, Virizion, Cobalion team reliably, but it's still good. The triple legendary team that was like they mainly use the 3 legendaries in one team is basically the Cloister. What's the name of this? Tapu Fini, Giratina, and Registeel. What's the main thing about this team? It's literally like 3 legendaries that are like very good and they cover each other as well, because Tapu Fini is weak to poison and those two like are like hard answers to poison. So that's like the team that people used to run, but I don't like any of these teams. I am known for like ABC teams. I don't like ABB teams. I would like to have a solid safe swap and a hard answer to what I beat in the lead. As an example, if I win the lead and they swap something, I would like to have a hard answer to that. As an example, my favorite team for this season, I don't know why this is here, is Tapu Fini with Coffin and Registeel or Cobalion in the back. Yes, this is literally Elam's team. I mean, Elam doesn't do YouTube, okay? So if I'm the one who make YouTube videos, so I can call it my team, even though if Elam used it, actually all I have to do is just replace Crafty with a Steel. That fights, okay? So it's like technically the same. No, this is my team. I'm calling it. Screw Elam. Okay, so why do I like this team? I like Coffin. I like Coffin as a Pokemon a lot because people don't have normal type in the back. They might have, but that's like very few situations, to be honest. And Cobalion is just a straight OP broken Pokemon in the current meta. Yes, it loses. And now people be like, yes, every time I use Cobalion, it gets aligned versus Swampert. Well, that's not my fault, like, to be honest. If you think that there is Swampert in the meta, you need a way to bait it out. You need a way to bait it out. Like, okay, I'm making a video about baiting out the counters in the back. Like, it's gonna be like the video that comes after this one. So make sure to subscribe because I'm gonna explain this situation a lot. Because sometimes like I post these videos, like let's say this team has only one Swampert weakness and there is 2 Pokemons that beat Swampert, and the comments sometimes be like, every time I use Cobalion it gets aligned versus Swampert. Well, because you didn't bait it out. What does that mean? Watch the next video. So this video will be posted midnight today, December 13th. So the one will be like the 14th, okay? So just a heads up. So the good thing about this team is the coverage, also the fast move pressure, and the nuke potential, both like decent closers here. Every Pokemon here is a decent closer and has some decent pressure either from fast move or from charge move. The BBML legendary in any order. This team is like the BBML since literally season 2, or like ever since they introduced Registeel. Those 3 Pokemons are like has been very reliable. The only issue with this team was Obstagoon, but now with XL Registeel can beat Obstagoon in the 0 and the 1 and in the 0-1, which means down a shield. Straight focus blast, you don't bait. What are you supposed to bait with? I mean, you don't throw zap, just a straight focus blast. Moving into another team. This team I think was very popular last season, which is basically Swampert with Giratina Cress. Swampert and Giratina as a Steel answer, and Cress is just something that beats everything that's not a Steel or a Ghost. Then Swampert fell off after like a Trevenant being a thing, and then Walrein became the main water Pokemon to beat the Trevenants, because technically one, like Giratina is not an answer to Trev. Like both counters each other's. So this thing is being like a harder answer, so you use Giratina to bait out the Ghost, and you hope that they swapped it. Now moving into like some stuff that should be viable this season. I believe if you are a Gliscor fan, this is like mainly the best Gliscor team. Gliscor like makes a solid team with Obstagoon. This team is ABA weak to Swampert. So if there is a Swampert in the meta, you don't use it. You don't use this. You replace Registeel with Virizion. Why? It depends. Like you have to like for these videos, the videos I make, don't be committed to use the entire team. Like usually like I have the first and the second Pokemon as a core, and the third is something that covers both. But sometimes what you're supposed to cover doesn't exist, and people start on some ABA teams. So as an example, what makes a good core with the Gliscor? I mean, 1 Obstagoon, 2 Walrein, 3 Lapras. So you can use one of those 3 with this team and use like the Obstagoon just to bait out like the fighter in the back. So you like add like the third Pokemon which has like a fighter weaknesses will be safe in the back. So this team, I would say it's good. You can replace Registeel with a Walrein, with a Lapras, with anything that can beat with anything that shared the same weaknesses as Obstagoon and be the same things. The BBML budget friendly. What's the thing? The good thing about this team is that 1, 2, 3 viable Pokemons and available for everyone. 4, because the Halloween event was literally a month ago, and everyone's supposed to have a Trevenant at this situation. If you don't have it, that's because you didn't grind. Sorry, someone got to say that. But yeah, this is like a 3 budget Pokemons that can be used in one team. And don't feel committed to use the 3 of them. You can literally use a Swampert with Obstagoon and then Talonflame over the Shadow Walrein. I prefer Shadow Walrein more than the non-Shadow because it has a better Swampert matchup and a better Talonflame matchup, and you do more damage, especially after the nerf. The nerf made like the non-Shadow bad and made the Shadow like slightly worse, but it's better than the non-Shadow. A team I wanted to talk about is like this team is was like a season 3 team. What does it do? Well, there is lots of Virizion, Cobalion, and they just still do fine. This is the Pidgeot, but Clefable is like a very underrated Charmer. Why? Because it's like a very XL Pokemon that people don't use. A budget-friendly team. This team I think I get from Go Battle Log, which is like we're like the budget team that most people were using. Machamp with a Charmer and a Shadow Claw user. So what's the good thing about this team? The only good thing is that it's literally a budget team. That's it, nothing else. And this team I think was like the most popular team back in season 9. Giratina with Walrein and Machamp. It's a solid team. And if you have Giratina in the lead, it's just like the team that used to RPS the Talonflame teams, because there used to be like Talonflame in the lead, and then they swap Obstagoon, so that's why you have a Machamp, and they have a Swampert in the back, so that's why you have a Walrein. So it's just like a straight answer to what people used to use. Another team. And newly buffed Pokemons, those are like Pokemons that were buffed or were like recently get introduced to the meta. Those two didn't get a buff, or they were like, and they exist in the meta a long time ago. But it's like if you want to use like those, this Pokemon makes a good pair with them. Why? Because these like are legendary goats, and this is a sheep. A sheep is a good friend for the goats. Okay. Yeah, that's the logic. No, it's not like they both have the same coverage and they both beat the same stuff. No, I don't believe that. Yeah. So the sheep is good at baiting out the fighters, the stuff that beats Cobalion, because the sheep and Cobalion are both weak to fighters, so you can bait it out. But the good thing is that the fighter that's mostly used is either Cobalion itself or a Scrafty. And this thing has a double kick, which is a fighting move. So you also do super effective back. Plus you have Body Slam, Stab Body Slam, which is arguably the best charge move in the game for PvP. Yes, Cobalion has Sacred Sword, which is a legacy move for the goats, and it's literally the same stats as Body Slam, which is an unlegacy move for the sheep. So if you don't have a goat, you don't have Cobalion Virizion, you can use Woolow's evolution. What's the name of this? The sheep. But the problem is, I am sure that the goats are much more accessible than the sheep. Why? Because it's literally spawned for 2 days last year, and we never saw it back. Like some people reported that it spawned after like the Who Parade, but it didn't last week, like last Saturday. It didn't spawn. I didn't see any. So yeah, this team is solid. I like it. It has decent fast boom pressure. It has decent charge moves. Best charge moves arguably in the game that are like non-legacy and legacy. More teams. Do we have more? I have lots of teams to talk about, but it's all about like you pick like a core and then like play the meta, and based on the meta you choose the third. I think I am not gonna mention any more teams because it's like I don't want to make this video like 30 minutes video. A team I wanted to mention is this team. I call it So Bad. It's like A/, Heracross, and Gyarados. This team is so bad. Don't use it, okay? Crimson used it once or twice, and he felt committed to it, but the team was bad. And yeah, special thanks to Go Battle Log for providing me access with like the top teams that they do have based on the usage. PvPoke for the amazing tools that they have. YTXP can show for giving me access to Go Battle Log, you know, like I have to thank both. But yeah, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched this far and you haven't subbed to the channel, I don't know what you're doing. Please consider subscribing because it helps the channel to grow and help me more to make more content so I can stay updated on everything regarding the game. And yeah, if you like the video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you have any question regarding any of these teams, leave in the comment section below and I will be glad to answer it. There's 2 new videos coming soon. How to bait out the counters and the top teams for the Ultra League Premier Classic, which is dropping in 2 days from now. So yeah, so you don't want to miss these 2 videos. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.